Well, I'm on the farm today. Got the Massey 1105 and my Krone 2801 CV, and we're going to go way out there to our low ground field and knock that down. So let's get going. So by the time this video comes out, you'll see that the east field is cut and baled. The yield was pathetic, but got some pretty nice hay off of it. So it's a cool morning here, and the wind's blowing, and you can see the flag up there. And the weather guessers are saying a cold front's moving through, and later this afternoon, this evening, there's supposed to be some thunderstorms. We'll see about that. Right down there is the low ground, and then this is the west field. That brown you see on there is the velvet grass, and some of the orchard grass is starting to turn brown too, at least on the seed head. But you know, this should be pretty good grass. I see a few stalks of milkweed down there. I think the undergrowth is better down here than any field I got this year. Since I got the trees out of here, it's a pleasure to cut this field. It's a little bumpy. There are a lot of rocks below the surface. So it's a little bumpy. I can't really go as fast as I'd like to. I guess I could, but why tear up the equipment? But it's not too bad what's coming off behind the Krone. Let me make a round and I'll come back. So especially when I get down in here along the edge of the woods, where it's a little more shady, we don't get the intensity of the sun. Can't say that you know, we've got the undergrowth like we should, but it's definitely better than the other fields. And of course, the stems are taller, if nothing else, because it's taken us a while to get here. There's some Timothy in this field yet. I'm seeing it. I like Timothy hay, but it doesn't last long around here. See, this is a nice thick spot right in here. The grass is dry. My tires might have a tick of moisture on them, but it's been a good breeze all morning and it's still blowing. Hoping we get a good dry down and we get this hay up pretty quick. So what I'll do here today is I'll cut this grass and I'll let it sit for the day. And I've got the cutter set as wide as it'll go, which is, of course, throwing the grass out the back, but it really kind of windrows it a little bit. But I'll take advantage of whatever windrowing I got, so that if we do get a little thunderstorm, you know, maybe it won't soak all the way through, and leave a little room for the ground to dry out, and I'll come in tomorrow run a tedder through it. We got some sunny skies forecast after today, so with the typically I only ted hay one time, and then I basically tedded a second time when I rake it with my Vermeer TR90. The tedding action comes along for the ride, and I get good dry hay. The less you ted, the less hay goes down into the stubble, and the less color you lose. If you're selling to horse people, color means a lot. So if you look back at some of the older videos of mowing hay down in here, there were trees right in here, and there was a tree back there, and there were some trees on up in here, and I was like going figure eights. But I got a nice field now, and nice long runs, and but you know, I used to cut this farm. Sometimes I'd cut every piece of hay we had, and I thought about cutting that hay up there on the east field, but I've kind of changed my mind. And the reason is, which I've alluded to, is I'm an army of one. Now that my kids have grown, they got jobs and other things to do. And so there were a lot of parallel efforts going on, you know. One of my kids might be running a hay rake, another one might be running a tedder. Somebody else hustling wagons to the barn and unloading them. I had good help. My kids worked really hard on this farm. And but now I'm doing it all. If they're in the neighborhood, they'll stop in and help, but I can't plan on it. You know, one of them might get off from work early, and they'll come up here. But so splitting that east field in half, and then this field right here, it's right manageable. So I thought about cutting that west field right there, but I decided it was going to be too much. And you might think, well, you know, but I have a 2-basket tedder, and I think my roller bar rake is 7 or 8 foot, and my tedder rake Vermeer is like I don't remember, 7 or 8 foot. This is a 9-foot cutter. But what happens is, you know, it's one thing to cut hay and then wait a day or two to bale, but on the day that you bale, really to get dry hay, you need to rake it. And before we got our Vermeer TR90, to have to ted it and then rake it. So what I do now, if I can, I'll rake it the night before I bale, and then run my Vermeer TR90 through it as a hay rake with the cages, and it'll stir it up and put it back in the windrow. But I said all that to say this. There's only so many hours in the day, and you got to bring the wagons out. You got to have everything ready to go. You got to have time to make sure everything's greased up. But more importantly, you got to have time to rake the hay, and you got to have time to bale the hay, and then you got to have time to take it off the field and get it in the barn. And you start adding the hours up, it's there's nothing parallel going on. So you can obliterate an afternoon pretty quick, and the next thing you know, the dew's coming in. It's late in the day, or it's there's a rainstorm coming. So it's really worked out pretty good for me. Kind of figured this out last year, but taking smaller chunks, as frequently as I can, just getting the job done in each field, it makes it manageable. Right there's where one of the trees were. But, it makes it more enjoyable too, because you're not killing yourself necessarily to do every hayfield on this farm. And so I'm just going to cut this field right here, and I'll deal with that another day. It's already turning brown, so the price is going down, and I think it'll be okay, but it's just not going to be top shelf horse quality hay. I probably should have clipped it, but with the drought, I wanted as much yield as I could get. But I've got hay customers coming, and I've said repeatedly that one of the changes I'm making here in my retirement is to try to work a little smarter and not harder, and that plays into some of these small fields. But also, I'm selling squares off of the kicker racks instead of stacking them. Fill them up, and then I've delivered the message that if you want hay, you need to come and get it, because I'm not holding the hay. When I fill up my kicker racks, I'm either going to clip the fields or make some round bales. And but with the hay shortage right now, I got more demand in customers than I got hay. I'm hoping my teff grass really delivers on volume. That would be very nice on the revenue side of things. So you can kind of see over there, this is the color on this hay is still pretty good. So I mentioned cutting that, and I talked about customers coming to get hay off the wagons, first come, first serve. So by the time I get ready to cut that, I should have at least a couple wagons freed up. And there ain't a lot of hay up there because of the drought. So between the empty ones I got and the ones that get emptied, I should be in pretty good shape on wagons. And then I should free up more hay, more wagons before my teff grass comes in. If you're new to the channel, this is a 1977 Massey Ferguson 1105. It's got a 354 turbo Perkins diesel and multi-power, kind of like a TA in an International. The mower is a Krone 2801 CB, and it's got impeller tide conditioners, and they're tremendous and scuffing up the hay and letting it dry out. The second half of that east field out there, I cut and baled. I made hay on it in 2 days, and I only tedded it. Actually tedded it twice, but pretty much minimal. All right, so I got this field cut, and you know, it's nice. It's nice and green hay. I think the volume might be a little bit heavier than on my east field. It's kind of going like this. The east field, the upper half I cut was real thin, and then the lower half of the east field, it had several days after some rain to bring in some undergrowth, and the same thing here. So I like what I see, and we'll get in here, see what it does tonight. The weather guessers, you know, they're pretty shrewd, because they say, well, you might get a thunderstorm tonight, but you might not. And if you do get a thunderstorm, it might be, you know, like less than 1/4 inch. It's almost like there's going to be so little rain off the thunderstorms that it might as well not rain. But nonetheless, I'm going to leave it just like it is and see what we get tonight, and then I'll come in here tomorrow and head this out. But there's a good breeze going. Maybe you can hear it on the video. What a nice field. Just goes way out and back out that way, and then I'll cut this west field another day and concentrate on this right here, get it done in a manageable way. And so first cutting continues. We'll talk to you later.